Hello and welcome back, everyone. Well, this is it, the moment we've all been waiting for, the grand finale of our entire series on the FIDIC Redbook 2017. Today, we are tackling the big one, the final chapter, Clause 21, all about disputes and arbitration.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Disputes, arbitration, sounds super heavy, kind of legal, maybe a little boring. But I'm going to make you a promise right now. We're going to break this down so simply, so clearly, I bet you could explain it to a 10-year-old afterward. This is our complete overview of Clause 21, based on that fantastic guide by Michael D. Robinson. So let's find out what happens when things really go sideways on a project. Okay, here's our roadmap for today's adventure. First up, we're going to meet the most important people in this whole process, the project referees, known as the DAB. Then we'll see exactly how you climb the ladder to get a decision from them. After that, we'll cover what you do if you totally disagree with that decision. And then we hit the final showdown, arbitration. And of course, we'll wrap it all up with a super quick recap, a fun little quiz, and our big farewell to the Red Book. Let's do this. All right, let's get straight into it and meet the heroes of this chapter, the DAB. That stands for the Dispute Avoidance and Adjudication Board. So what on earth is a DAB? You know, the easiest way to think about them is as the expert referees for the entire construction project. They're a totally independent panel, usually 1 or 3 technical and legal experts, and their whole job, their entire reason for being there, is to step in, keep things fair, and help the parties either avoid a dispute in the first place, or, if one pops up, get it solved fast. Now, what's really cool is how this team of referees is actually put together. It's a very collaborative process. So by default, you have a 3-member board. The employer gets to pick one expert, the contractor gets to pick another one. Then, and this is the important part, those 2 chosen members and the parties themselves all have to agree on a 3rd person to be the chairperson. It's only official once they've all signed the DAB agreement. And to make sure everyone stays impartial, well, fairness is literally built right into how they get paid. Each party, the employer and the contractor, is responsible for paying exactly 1/2 of the DAB's fees, 50-50, right down the middle. It's a shared cost, which means the DAB isn't beholden to either side. They only answer to the facts and the contract. So we've met our referees. Now, how do they actually get called onto the field to make a ruling? Let's walk step by step up the ladder, from a simple disagreement all the way to an official decision. You know, the most important word in the DAB's title is actually the first one, avoidance. Before anything gets formal, the DAB can be asked to step in informally, just to help the parties talk. And this is so crucial. Why? Because it saves time, it saves money, and most importantly, it saves the working relationship. This is the friendly first step, the best case scenario to find a solution before it ever turns into an official, ugly dispute. But okay, let's say that informal chat doesn't work out. Now we start climbing the formal ladder. It always starts with the engineer, who makes a fair determination on a claim. If either the employer or the contractor is unhappy with that, they issue a super important document, a Notice of Dissatisfaction, or NOD for short. That NOD is the trigger. From that day, you have 42 days to formally refer the dispute to the DAB, who then investigates and gives their decision. And the DAB doesn't have forever to make up their mind either. They are on the clock. The second they officially get that dispute referral, a timer starts. They have a maximum of 84 calendar days to give their decision. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, this strict deadline is all about keeping the project moving. It makes sure that disagreements don't just sit there and fester, causing huge, expensive delays to the actual construction work. And this little quote from the contract explains everything. It clearly says that the DAB proceeding is not an arbitration. It's a totally different process called adjudication. It's designed to be faster, more flexible. Really, it's a way to get a binding decision quickly to solve problems on site without getting totally bogged down in the full, formal, and, let's be honest, very expensive process of a full-blown arbitration. Okay, so the DAB has made its call. The referee has blown the whistle. But what happens if you think they got the decision completely wrong? Let's dive into the critical next steps. All right, everybody lean in for a second, because if you remember only one number from this entire explainer, please make it this one, 28 days. If you are dissatisfied with the DAB's decision, you have exactly 28 days to issue your own Notice of Dissatisfaction. I cannot stress this enough. If you miss this deadline, it's game over. The DAB's decision automatically becomes final and binding. So whatever you do, do not miss it. And this brings us to a really important legal distinction. A DAB decision is immediately binding. What does that mean? It means both parties have to follow it right now, even if they hate it. Think of it like this: obey now, argue later. But if nobody submits that notice of dissatisfaction within 28 days, that decision transforms. It becomes final and binding. And that means the case is permanently closed. The dispute is settled forever. So, let's say you did submit your NOD in time. Do you go straight to the lawyers? Not quite. The contact forces one last attempt at peace. The parties must, it's not optional, try to reach an amicable settlement. This is kind of like the last chance saloon. It's a mandatory cooling off period designed to save everyone from the huge cost and conflict of arbitration. It's the contract's way of saying, are you absolutely sure you can't just work this out? Okay, the talks failed. It is time to climb to the very, very top of the ladder. Welcome everyone to the final boss level, the final showdown, arbitration. So arbitration is the ultimate resolution. This is where a dispute is finally settled, legally and for good. It's a formal process, usually handled under the official rules of an institution like the International Chamber of Commerce. And this is key. The arbitrators have the power to open up the entire case from scratch. They can look at everything and even change any previous determination by the engineer or decision by the DAB. And when they make their final award, it's due and payable immediately. But is there ever a time you can just skip all those earlier steps and go straight to the final level? Yes, but only in two very specific cheat code scenarios. First, if one party simply refuses to obey a binding DAB decision, the other party can take that failure itself directly to arbitration. And second, if a dispute pops up, and for whatever reason there's no DAB in place at all, then you can also jump the line and go straight to the final showdown. And there you have it. We have climbed the entire ladder, from top to bottom. Now for my favorite part, let's lock in all that knowledge and wrap up our journey together. It's time for our recap, quiz, and farewell. All right, pop quiz time. Let's see what you remember. Question number 1 is a two-parter. By default, how many members are on a DAB and who's responsible for footing the bill? And question number 2. This is the big one. What is the single most important document with that critical 28-day deadline that you have to issue if you disagree with a DAB decision? Okay, pencils down. Let's see the answers. For question 1, the default is 3 members and the cost is split 50-50 between the parties. And for question 2, that all-important document is, of course, the Notice of Dissatisfaction, or NOD. If you got both of those right, you are officially a Clause 21 expert. Amazing job! So, let's boil this whole chapter down. What are the absolute must-know takeaways? First, the DAB is there to avoid disputes before they even begin. Second, remember that ladder of escalation. Engineer, then nod, then DAB, then decision. It's a clear, logical process. Third, I'm going to say it one last time, that 28-day deadline for an NOD is everything. And finally, remember that arbitration is the last resort. The entire system is designed to help you solve problems long before you ever need it. And with that, our entire journey through the FIDIC Redbook 2017 is officially complete. We did it, from Clause 1 all the way to 21. I truly, truly hope you found this series useful and that it's made this incredibly complex contract just a little bit clearer for you. If you did find it useful, please do me a favor and hit that like button. If you didn't, feel free to hit dislike, but please let us know why in the comments. We read everything. And if you have any remarks, notes, or questions at all, drop them below. Most importantly, please follow and subscribe so you don't miss our next series of explainers. Thank you so much for joining me on this adventure.